Okay, let's get started. Thank you very much, Rahul, by asking a simple question which each of you can dive into. But maybe the politicians need to start first. Uh, one nation, one election. Is it the classic Jumla, or is it an idea whose time has come? Jumla or an idea whose time has come? Quick 60 seconds to each of you, starting with you, Gaurav Bhatia, since it's your government that wants to bring this through. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jagdeep. First of all, very well said by you. An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped. And with Narendra Modi ji at the helm of affairs, आपने कहा जुमला, तो आर्टिकल 370 भी ऑपोजिशन को जुमला लगता था till the time we abrogated it. GST implementation भी इनको जुमला लगता था. They dreamt, realized by Narendra Modi ji. और राम मंदिर एट अयोध्या भी जुमला लगता था. मंदिर वहीं बनाएंगे, तारीख नहीं बताएंगे. मंदिर भी बनाया है, तारीख भी बताया है, लेकिन ये लोग आ नहीं पाए. आई विल टेल यू वन थिंग, नरेंद्र मोदी जी हैं, मोदी है तो मुमकिन है. एंड इंडिया नीड्स दिस बिकॉज इंडिया ऑफ टुडे wants to run. They want to obstruct, they want it to limp, they want it to not walk, but India will grow because Narendra Modi ji is at the helm of affairs. Second, what are the advantages? Let's have a meaningful conversation. I give you the reasons why one nation, one poll should be implemented. And I expect people who are opposing the idea, whose time has come, to give us the reasons why it should not be implemented. One, the country is about governance. It's not only about having elections round the corner. Every year there are 5 to 6 elections, and there have been years in India when out of the 365 days, around 250 days, model code of conduct was under implementation. Therefore, policy decisions could not be implemented. Second, the kind of man hours we lose.
60 seconds.
Yes, I'm sorry. If you want, I can, finish.
Give us the second point.
So I just want to set the debate on the right course. If you allow me 30 seconds and deduct it from phase 2.
Okay.
That's okay. Yes. Second, it's most important that we realize that one nation, one poll. People will go and they will vote for the Lok Sabha elections as well as the assembly elections. And therefore it would save man hours and man days, 100 crore of them. Because if you have 2 elections, then the same citizen has to go twice. Third, I think most importantly, from 1951 till 1967, this country actually saw simultaneous elections till the time we saw dismissing of opposition-ruled states by Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi. And in the end, I would say, people, the naysayers who feel that this can't be implemented, for them मैंने अर्ज किया है, मंजिल मिल ही जाएगी, भटक कर ही सही, गुमराह तो वो हैं जो घर से निकले ही नहीं. Thank you.
चलिए, Supriya ji, your 60 seconds. Try and keep to 60 seconds.
Brevity is the soul of it, and it's great to be here amongst this audience in the beautiful city of Mumbai first. How are you going to do as many conclaves if there were elections that were happening once in 5 years? So I think India today should first be the torchbearer of no against one nation, one election. But all jokes aside, there are hot air balloons that this government keeps floating. These are weapons of mass distraction. The BJP needs 362 votes in the Lok Sabha, and ladies and gentlemen, they've got 293 favoring this. This ain't happening. This is a weapon of mass distraction. This is a hot air balloon that has been floated, and it will die its eventual death, much like the broadcast bill, much like lateral entry, much like the Waqf board, much like many other U-turns that the government could not push through, that could not go through. I am fundamentally against this for 2 reasons. This is a direct assault, a direct attack on the basic fundamental structure of our constitution, and it demeans the states of the Indian Union. The reality is that every state government is democratically elected by the people, and nobody in the central government or anywhere has the authority to dismiss them at will because you want them to merge with one election. Even if I were to assume that this goes through, In 2029, there will be 17 states in the Indian government union which will have completed only 2 or maximum 3 years of their term. What about the mandate there? And quite frankly, the 18,626 pages of recommendations are quite ridiculous, if I may. It actually says that if a state government falls, there should be an election, but that election will be only for the period of the Lok Sabha. So there will not be one, but there will be 3 elections. That's the first point. And I obviously have a fundamental issue with the composition of that committee and how a former president was appointed. But that said, do you find it ridiculous when it is said, and I leave this to the judgment of your viewers and your audience here, do you find it ridiculous when politicians come out and say, काम रुक जाता है, 4 महीने, 4 साल, 11 महीने, वो bright idea नहीं याद आया, वो bright idea last के 1 महीने में चुनाव के दिन याद आते हैं. So this is absolute filibustering. This is an assault on the constitution of this country. This is an assault on the federal structure. And this ain't going through. It's quite as simple as that. The numbers 362 versus 293. And if I may, with all due respect, I'm very fond of both the gentlemen sitting on my left, but you needed 2 spokespersons of the BJP to defend this? That explains a lot of that.
No. I don't think that's the right way to look at it, because we also want to ensure that there is a certain amount of constitutional
There are
and
2
legal
spokespersons
heft
of the BJP, aren't
in this
there,
as
on
well.
this panel?
Now the thing with Supriya is, because she's been involved in news operations in the past, she wants to have a view not just on what she says, but how we constitute the panel
No, but I
as
am
well.
in a panel
which
where
really
I'm sitting with 2 BJP spokespersons.
We will ensure, Supriya ji, that we give you an adequate
I'm
opportunity
just
to speak.
putting it out before the viewers. They
Next,
should know
sure.
that there I am from the Congress. There are 2 gentlemen from the BJP.
Next,
they should know
Supriya ji
that.
will say that some of your other guests are also BJP leaning. Then she'll say some of your anchors also BJP
Rahul,
leaning.
I will not
So
say any of
Rahul,
that.
can I respond?
No,
Rahul,
it's
I will not
pointless.
say
No,
any
one
of
second.
that.
I said earlier, this is the India Today conclave. I expect both of you to rise and attempt to raise
But
the
there
level
are
of this debate
there are
and not bring it down.
Can I deny
You know, the
that?
whole idea is, Supriya, to raise
It's
the
okay.
level
I
of
raised
the
the
debate.
point. It's for
If
your
you
viewers
have
to
the
decide that.
intellectual heft, let's raise the level of the debate.
I did actually.
I want
just
to show. I leave it to those who are sitting here to decide whether actions such as these are lifting the level of the debate or bringing it down to the gutter. We will attempt to do the right thing. I expect you to attempt the same. I want to show you now what the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha look like, and then also what the state assemblies look like, and then try and understand the point that Supriya ji was making about where the NDA will find the numbers. And I want to put this question to Hitesh Jain, because if you start with the Lok Sabha, the NDA sits at 293, the India Alliance is at 237, others have 11. You need to hit 361. So how do you move this saffron from 293 to 361? Where will those numbers in the Lok Sabha come from? This is the Rajya Sabha, 233 seats in total, majority required 156. You are currently at 121, 87 for the India Alliance. This, Hitesh ji, is very different from what the Modi government has seen in the past 10 years. The brute numbers, as Supriya ji was saying, are simply not with you. Is this just a hot air balloon that you floated because you want to bring the narrative back to you? Where will you get the numbers from?
Rahul, on the issue of one nation, one election, I don't think it is an adversarial debate. This is a debate where this requires a consensus, and Supriya ji will also be surprised that many of the India Alliance will also, members of their alliance, India Alliance, they will support the principle of one nation, one election. Let me give you a perspective. Is this an experiment? Because somebody said it is a hot air balloon. This is not an experiment. If you will look at the historical precedent, 1952 and 1957, how did our democratic journey started? Our democratic journey started with one nation, one election. I mean, most of the audience should know the fact that in 1952 and 1957, India saw the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha election being held simultaneously. And when did they started to wither away? As Gaurav mentioned, in 1959, Pandit Nehru first of all dismissed the Kerala government, which was non-favorable, and during the 4th Lok Sabha general election, when Mrs. Gandhi, she proponed the Lok Sabha election, and that's how we saw the cycle vitiating. Another fact, for the 50 times, Article 356 was invoked to dismiss the respective state government. So therefore, to say that this is assault on the democracy, then the framers of the constitution never wanted an assault on the democracy. Even the Congress party supported the idea of one nation, one election. And Rahul, that is where you get the answers. You saw what happened during the voting on Article 370. I mean, at that time also the questions were asked that how will you command the majority and how will you get the numbers in the Rajya Sabha? And we saw how we got the numbers in the Rajya Sabha.
But Hitesh Jain, with one caveat, India of 2024 is not the India of 1952 and 57. You have so many more regional parties who are in power. They are not going to accept that you have an election almost as a national referendum. Each of these parties in their states has every right to have elections on regional issues. You seem to be conflating the politics of 1952-57 with the politics of 2024. I mean, let's be honest, if you were in the opposition, you would have never accepted it.
No, I don't think so.
Where you stand depends on where you sit.
I think consistently the Bharatiya Janata Party has spoken regarding one nation, one election, whether they are in the ruling party or whether they are in the opposition. The reason is, one nation, one election, it is not about the politics, it is not about who is going to be in the power, because Sarkar
what is it about?
It is
So
about,
what is it about?
putting the national interest ahead above the political
No, what is that
interest.
national interest?
The national interest is when you talk about cost efficiency, when you talk about the logistical ease, and when you look at the different, if you look at the election commission in 1962, you look at the election commission in 1983, you look at the reports of the law commission, successively law commission from 1952 to 2019, all the experts have advocated for one nation, one election.
Okay.
So there is a logic behind it.
Okay, let Jagdeep Chhokar respond, because this argument, I think audiences across India need to know. Do you believe from your research at ADR that it will result in cost efficiency? Does one nation, one election actually result in cost efficiency?
Well, I will answer your question directly without prefacing it with a speech. And that is, when I hear this question that election should be least expensive and we should save money on conducting elections so that that money can be used for development, I get very, very disappointed and hurt. Is democracy something that, elections are the only way to operationalize democracy? And if we want the cheapest possible elections, that means we want the cheapest possible democracy. I find it painful that we are putting a monetary value on democracy. Therefore, even if, and first of all, I don't have the numbers whether it will reduce expenses or not. There are different numbers people have put across. But saying that cheaper elections will be better for the country, I'm afraid I cannot disagree. Cheaper elections and less frequent elections will not be good for democracy.
But it's not just about the cost of holding an election. I looked at the high-level committee report.
Can I finish?
Bring that out.
Rahul, can I
Yes,
finish?
yes, please,
Yeah.
sir.
But Mr. Chhokar, there is a difference between a cheaper election and cost efficiency. When we are talking about cost efficiency, of course it can be higher, but it is a question of the degree of cost. The opposition party used to complain that they do not get the level playing field, they do not have resources and funds. So if you have all the election, they can spend lesser numbers on the
Have
ads
you
and
opened the
everything.
debate? Can
So
we
it is
come
more
in?
from the opposition party who were crying about the
Have
cost
we
and
opened
all,
the debate?
and
Can
they
we
were
all come in?
complaining about the level playing field.
Hitesh bhai, let Jagdeep ji.
I requested Rahul to let me complete, but there are other people who don't want to let me complete. Number one. Number two, there was a point raised that elections are about governance, and the model code of conduct puts into effect that does not allow governance to happen or development to happen. I, with greatest respect, say that anybody who says that the model code of conduct prevents governance needs to read the model code of conduct again. I am sure they have read it, but they need to read it again. All that the model code of conduct says is that the government in power will not introduce any new schemes which have a potential to influence the result of the election. This is the complete sentence. And if there is a scheme that they have come up with in the last 15-20 days of their tenure, and they feel it is absolutely essential to introduce it, they can seek the Election Commission's approval. And I know of cases that in many cases Election Commission does give approval.
I think you
Okay.
The problem,
skewed.
okay, I guess I am overshooting my brief. Please go ahead.
No, we just want you to complete. Go ahead.
The other thing is that why does governance suffer? Yes, governance does suffer. Governance does not suffer because of the model code of conduct. Governance suffers that even if there is an election in Tripura or in a municipal corporation in a southern city, the entire leadership of all political parties descends there. And therefore governance suffers. I have been trying to suggest to political parties they should have two cadres. One who are the star campaigners and the others who
Okay.
are executives.
So, you know, we
A
looked...
small point. People who take the oath of office for ministers, when they ignore that work and go to campaign, I very humbly submit they are violating their oath of office.
Okay.
Can I
So-
make a very brief point? Just to
Yes.
take this discussion forward. While we are discussing one nation, one election, we are obviously basing all our premise, our assumptions are the report that is being actioned upon. The report doesn't talk about one nation, one election. Because the report says that MLAs and MPs, about 5,000 of them, 543 MPs and about 4,000 MLAs will be elected at one time, but 30 lakh local representatives in the panchayat will be elected at another time. So there is actually no one nation, one election, because there will be a complete new bandobast, polling stations, polling booths, agents, all of that. So the very premise of, which is why I say the assumptions and the report has some very ridiculous recommendations. We are talking about cost efficiency. Do you realize the amount of cost that will be incurred to have a one nation, one election in terms of the EVMs and the VVPATs that will be required? How many more needs to be printed? How many more needs to be manufactured? What's the pipeline we are looking at? Which is why I say this is a hot air balloon which will die its natural death come the winter session.
Can I respond?
Amitabh Tiwari, leave the philosophy for the moment. Now imagine that 2029 is one nation, one election. Who does this help? Who does this hurt? What is the most likely electoral outcome if elections are held simultaneously for assemblies and the Lok Sabha?
See, essentially, if you see, simultaneous elections were held in 4 states in India in 2024 as well. In all the states, whichever party wins the Vidhan Sabha election wins the Lok Sabha elections. Andhra Pradesh, NDA in Vidhan Sabha, in Lok Sabha. Sikkim Kranti Morcha in Vidhan Sabha, in Lok Sabha. BJP in Arunachal in Vidhan Sabha, Lok Sabha. And one more state, BJP in Odisha, in both the legislatures. If you see all the 1952 to 1962, Congress was winning 350 plus seats in Lok Sabha and it was ruling in all the states, roughly all the states except for intermittent periods of Kerala and Odisha. Now, even if you see 2014 and 19, whichever party wins Lok Sabha wins the Vidhan Sabha or whichever way you call it. Now the question is, split voting is rarely seen in simultaneous elections. Across the world also, there are studies, sir will also vouch for that. Because what is the process? Process क्या होता है? अभी महाराष्ट्र में there is, in a polling booth there is one EVM. अब 2 EVM हो जाएंगे. अभी हमको एक बटन दबाना होता है, अब 2 बटन दबाने पड़ेंगे. From a voter psychology perspective, people, large number of people, majority of the people tend to press the same button in both the selection of MLA and the selection of MP. So voter psychology study, we will have to see how this impacts.
But that,
Can I
therefore,
respond,
no,
please?
therefore, Gaurav Bhatia, therefore, Gaurav Bhatia, it's not actually one nation, one election. You want to make India one nation, one election, one leader. That Narendra Modi ji will be the candidate from a municipal election to Lok Sabha election. Forget everyone else. That is the real game. You see, that's what I said. If you were in the opposition, you didn't have a strong leader, you wouldn't want one nation, one election.
See,
now you've got a leader who also campaigns for Delhi municipality and also will campaign nationally. And therefore,
Can I
you want,
respond?
therefore you are going, the argument is you are going against the basic structure, which is federalism. This is a country of 29 unique, diverse states. You want to destroy that diversity. One nation, one election, one leader.
Gaurav.
I love the Modi phobia that Jagdeep Sardesai has. It's very nice. But I must tell you, do a little bit of reading of the Constitution of India, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai. There is a leader in India who holds the Constitution, but he himself doesn't care to read it. He destroys the Constitution with impunity. I think you are following his footsteps. Let me tell you who destroyed federal structure. One, when 93 times the Congress government at the center invoked president rule, that is destruction of the federal structure. Indira Gandhi.
Agree.
Please don't interrupt. I don't want you to agree or disagree with me. It makes no difference to me. People of the country are with me. So whether you agree or not, don't interrupt me. I waited for my turn. Thank you. When Indira Gandhi, she amended the constitution, rather I should use the word mutilated the constitution and increased the tenure of the Lok Sabha from 5 years to 6 years. That is the destruction of the federal structure. When Kashmir Assembly tenure is increased from 5 years to 6 years, that is destruction of the federal structure. But let me address some key points. We come here, we deliberate. Rahul, we need to understand, there is a special committee that was constituted, headed by the former President Ramnath Kovind ji. Do you know which platform is the right platform to deliberate, discuss and even disagree? That committee. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was a member of that committee. Do you know he didn't even care to participate? Now to come on these forums and say this is not good for the country. No, sir. You had a responsibility as a leader of opposition to participate on those discussions and then also give in writing your dissent. That wasn't done. Okay. Second, it was spoken that, you know, it's not good for the country. Now I will let the audience decide. Which side do you want to be? On one side, Ramnath Kovind ji is heading the committee. Harish Salve, a legal luminary. 4 Chief Justices of India, former Chief Justices, have spoken in favor of one nation, one poll. Subhash Kashyap ji was there. And suggestions from various citizens of India. On the other side,
Mr. Bhatia, you said limited time.
yes,
Can I come in?
I waited for my turn. I need
No,
to address...
everyone must have same time.
Raj-
30 seconds.
Please don't do this.
30
Please
seconds.
don't do this. Please don't do this. If you are scared of the arguments I'm giving, I will be, you know, keeping quiet from here on.
Not
Please.
at all,
So
sir.
don't interrupt. I will address every issue. If you want to deliberate, you deliberate well. There is no hit and run here. So now listen to my arguments.
So other people
Kharge-
may also
Kharge
want
ji.
to address every issue, and therefore,
Sir, can I?
I am speaking
I
to the
will
moderator.
give you also an opportunity to
Yes,
respond.
thank you.
30 seconds. Go ahead, Gaurav Bhatia.
Now, what are the remarks on the basis of which they are opposing one nation, one poll? Kharge ji says policy wouldn't work. Why? You said the same thing about Article 370, about GST, also about NJAC, and you were talking about the numbers, Rahul. 2 points I want to make which are very important. These people have not even cared to read Article 368. Neither has the India Today group. Do you know what the requirement is? It is majority of the House strength and then two-third majority. Majority of the House strength and then two-third voting who are present. Not the strength of the House.
तो बाकियों
And-
को कहाँ भेजोगे?
मैं
Whip issue कर देंगी,
मैं
ma'am.
भी आपको
Okay.
बताता हूँ.
So
let me just complete.
Yes.
I'll end in 15
We need to
seconds.
give, no, one second. We need to be
I'll end in
fair to
15.
everyone. I want to show to Supriya ji what the high level committee says are some of the advantages. It's not just cost. There are, according to the high level committee, some very significant GDP multipliers, inflation deflators, which they estimate come into effect as a result of one nation, one poll. So we'll have that. So the high level committee estimates that India's GDP on an annual basis increases by 1.5 percentage points as a result of one nation, one election, which is about half of India's health spending, 4.5 lakh crore rupees. The fiscal deficit 2 years before and after the elections comes down by 1.28%. If the target is 5.4, that is a significant reduction. Inflation on a continuing basis, this committee estimates, comes down by 50 basis points. It also leads to an investment multiplier of 0.5% on the gross fixed capital formation to GDP ratio. That's the estimate from the high level committee. I don't know for a fact that these will actually get implemented, but for what it is worth, this is what the high level committee report says are the advantages, Supriya ji, of introducing one nation, one election.
Thank you. In my previous avatar, I have used to be a financial and economic journalist. This is voodoo economics at its best. This is exactly what we were told when demonetization happened. Every day there was a new goalpost which kept shifting. Terror funding band ho jayegi. Cashless economy ban jayega. Black money will come back. None of that happened. There is more cash in the economy than ever. Terror funding did not stop. 26 terror attacks in the valley in the last 105 days. We've not seen a single stash of black money come back. This is voodoo economics. On the basis of a paper that was presented by Mishra and Singh of Niti Aayog, and they also said we are basing our assumptions on certain things. You and I know this is voodoo economics, just like the GDP did not triple, but it actually halved after demonetization. This is voodoo economics. You know, there is an obsession that the BJP has. But just to address that obsession, we are not one nation, one language. We are not one nation, one religion, one nation, one region, one nation, one culture, one nation, one color. We are beautiful in our diversity. So this entire attempt always by the BJP to somehow paint us in this oneness. We are united, and which is why we are one. We are not one because we speak one language or we all look similar. We are one because we are diverse and we are united together. But I do want to address the substantial points that have been raised here, and I think those should be. You know, 2 or 3 times it has been referred that till 1957, we had simultaneous elections. Of course we did. India became independent. We had simultaneous elections in the states and in the center. But then politics evolved. The rise of regional parties. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's no regional representation on this panel here, but the rise of regional parties. It is a fact that almost half the states in the union today are actually seeing very, very strong regional parties. Can you deny the fact that they should have their place under the sun because they represent regional interests? So you cannot say that the natural course of politics can be made a U-turn on. And one last point that I want to make here, and this is an important point. We keep talking about this oneness. Who are the stakeholders you've discussed it with? In your committee, you refused to put the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, the Congress president in the committee. You instead put Ghulam Nabi Azad. He is not even a member of either houses. Obviously, there will be an issue. Obviously, we will not participate in it. And I think Mr. Kharge has only said this is not practical, this cannot go through.
But,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Factually incorrect. I just pointed out Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary ji was made the
Yeah, he resigned because you did not include Mr. Kharge.
Oh, you got to intervene.
He resigned. I'm only factually
You know,
One minute. Can we, the real issue, the nub of the issue
Rajiv,
is...
can I
No, sir, there are 3 others.
You are angry with me?
No, they deserve... No, I'm never angry with you.
Are you angry with me?
I'm never
why
angry.
can't I respond to a factually incorrect statement that has been made?
Sir, may I just say that there is a fundamental point that has come.
Have you asked her why are they opposing it? Have you asked her why Adhir
I have
Ranjan
given my reasons to oppose
He
it.
cannot speak in
You haven't
between.
heard me all over.
Sir,
You know, Radeep.
No, sir.
Listen to
Gaurav
me.
Bhatia and Supriya Shrinate, this is not a TV debate.
Rajiv.
No, sir. Hitesh Jain.
Radeep is angry now. I think I should be quiet. No issues.
Yes, please.
Radeep,
Please,
I'll respect you for
Sir,
that. But let me tell you, if Modi ji is symphony, they are cacophony. And that's all they do.
There are 2 of you here, na? Divide your time.
Madam, don't shout, please.
No, 1 second. Let's as we discussed.
You have raised. You have both raised very serious
But have
points.
you asked her
Hitesh Jain.
about Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary
It's not you versus her. There are
participating?
3 others. We represent diversity
ask.
here. Do not conform it only to the 2 of you. This country is beautiful like the rainbow in this,
So then
on
why
this
did
panel.
you say only one Modi, one
let's
leader?
try- let's-
When he started the program by saying only one leader Modi, now he is saying it is very diverse.
Okay.
I think there is a contradiction in your statement.
Okay, no, 1 second.
Clear it out
Otherwise,
and then debate.
let's, as I said earlier, let's try and raise the level of
No,
the debate.
if Rahul-
I want to
sorry,
go to
Rahul.
Hitesh Jain and I want to ask him about the advantages that this high-level committee says. And Supriya Shrinate is correct. When demonetization was introduced, once again, a picture was painted which suggested that this was the ultimate panacea to all of India's ills. Can I have that visualization on the screen again? If all of this is possible, if government capital expenditure goes up 17.5%, if our GDP goes up 1.5%, तो फिर तो कर दो, पर क्या guarantee है ये होगा?
Rahul, is this only BJP who is speaking about the cost efficiency? In 1962, when the election
leave
commission
cost
was there,
efficiency. No,
and
Hitesh bhai.
biggest,
Let's not conflate the 2 issues. I'll come to cost later. I have a separate visualization. I'm talking about fiscal deficit coming down by 1.28%, GDP going up 1.5%, government capital expenditure going up by 7.6%. You promised several such things when demo happened. None of the benefits came through. What's the guarantee this will happen?
Rahul, what you are doing is you are just trivializing the issue. You cannot say that, okay, this was the argument given then or therefore this will hold it now. It's not there. You have to give a logically. The committee has given a logic that you are going to save on the fiscal deficit. Now, give it with the strong facts and hard data as to how this is not going to be beneficial for the fiscal deficit. You cannot just make a mockery out of this issue. Arey, tab nahi hua hai, ab nahi hoga. I don't think that's the correct approach.
You know, can I go? So the fundamental, no, just a minute, sir.
Let me come to the fundamental.
Just a minute. Because
this
you all are
a
not
BJP
addressing,
issue.
Sir,
this
just
is about the election commission, law commission.
Mr. Hitesh Jain, you and Gaurav Bhatia need to address a fundamental issue and then I'll get Mr. Chhokar in. The fundamental issue of this country is simply this. We are, for better or worse, a democracy. For better or worse. Part of democracy is election.
For better, any day of-
Just a minute. You want the voters of this country for 5 years not to have an opportunity to either throw you out of power because you can then do what
I
you
don't
want.
think so.
Just a minute.
I mean, this report has covered concerned about the hung assembly, no confidence motion. All these aspects are there. And the term of the assembly or the Lok Sabha is 5 years.
Allow me
Whether the democracy does not mean election every month.
Okay, so allow me to ask
The term
you
of the assembly and the Lok Sabha is
Sir, allow
5
me
years.
to ask you a question before you answer. There are two fundamental points here. One is diversity, one is democracy. You are saying that this committee has answered that question. That tomorrow if the Maharashtra government was to fall, within say 6 months of it being formed, you would have another election. Therefore, even one nation, one election gives you the opportunity to throw out for a government to fall, an Operation Lotus to be conducted and a new government to come in.
Not Operation Lotus. This is a democracy where you have these measures of no confidence motion and hung assembly.
Oh,
It
Rajdeep,
suits
sir,
your...
Sir,
Can
we
I
are in a
ask-
state.
no,
Just
one
a minute.
second.
Hitesh bhai, allow me to complete. We are in a state which in the last 5
I
years...
can allow you to complete.
Sir, no, sir,
but
you're not...
Don't be little biased and view
Sir,
it
because-
only from the lens of
because
BJP.
Mr. Hitesh
Look,
Jain-
put the national interest ahead and
Okay,
also...
you're
think
saying
from the
national interest.
National interest also.
Can I respond?
Both the
Can I-
journalists and the political parties, we need to rise above the political
Agreed.
interest and think
Can I
of the
make a
national
point?
interest.
Hitesh Jain...
One second.
Sir,
Can-
1 minute, Rahul.
Yeah.
We are in a state which in 5 years has had 3 chief ministers, 1 chief minister for 3 days. Swearing in took place at 6:30 a.m. in the morning.
It becomes
the
an
president
anti
of
show,
India,
Rahul. I want to
the
respond
president
to
of
him
India
and to you,
lifted
if you allow
governor's
me,
rule at
please.
1:30 a.m.
Forget
And
that
you
when
are-
Congress
and
was
you are
in
giving me
power
a
for
lecture
5
of
years, we
democracy.
also saw
Can
3
I
chief
please
ministers.
Can I make a small
Rajdeep,
point,
please.
please?
I just want to ask Jagdeep ji, those advantages which
Rahul,
the
this is
high-level
again,
committee
he's asking
cites,
the question to us.
do you think that those advantages
Rahul,
will
very,
actually
very
materialize?
unfair, Rahul.
Jagdeep ji, will the advantages actually materialize? Is that likely to be achieved? What's your view?
Thank you very much. And I must say here, I am sorry I did not come here to listen to a political debate. I listen to them all the time, I read about them all the time. And I will make 2 points and then I will stop and I will also not raise my hand because there are only 5 minutes left. Number one, we have talked about a little bit of history. We have talked about the history in 1951 and 1967. Let us talk about the history about 5 years ago. In 2014, one nation, one election was put in the manifesto of the leading political party. And from 2014 to 2018, I personally addressed 26 discussions, seminars, etc. across the country. And there was instances where a secretary from the Prime Minister's office called the Chief Election Commissioner, and the record of that discussion is available in the Election Commissioner's files. It was reported in the newspaper.
What's your point, sir?
My point is, from 2014 to 18, we spent a lot of resources on this, and then the matters quietened down. Then on 23, again a committee came up which was unprecedented to have a former president leading a committee like this. And now we are on this issue again. And we will stay on it for another 5 years. And this reminds me of the Women's Reservation Bill, which was passed with much fanfare. But I would like anybody here to tell me when will it be implemented. There will be delimitation. Before delimitation, there will be census.
Jagdeep, I wish to respond. Please
Can
allow
I
me.
complete?
Yeah, complete,
No, no,
sir.
I will.
पर आप कहना क्या चाहते हो?
आप सुनेंगे तो पता लगेगा।
पर आप
अगर आप
बात
सुनना नहीं
करते हो,
चाहते
पर
तो मैं
क्या
क्या
कहना
करूं?
चाहते हो?
मैं कहना चाहता हूं जैसे विमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल की इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का पता नहीं है।
नहीं, पर हम तो वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की बात कर रहे हैं। अभी आप ही बता रहे कि 18 पॉलिटिकल
नहीं चाहते तो मैं क्या करूं?
मैनिफेस्टो।
अगर कोई सुनना नहीं चाहता तो मैं क्या करूं?
No, Mr. Chhokar,
Can I complete?
because you're not telling me what is your...
हाँ, आप क्या कहना चाहते हो?
I am telling you this will not happen, just like the women's reservation will not happen.
No, but that does not answer the question of merits or demerits. You yourself started that in 2014, 18 political parties in their election, in their manifesto, they covered the fact of one nation.
I cannot be here.
No, Mr. Chhokar, 1 minute.
I cannot be
No,
here.
1 minute, sir. None of you are addressing, and maybe Amitabh Tiwari, since you track this, need to. In the last 10 years, and this audience needs to know, governments have been, popularly elected governments have been dismissed through defections. We have what we call, what people in Maharashtra call Khoke ki Sarkar. And you are telling me now on this program that we are committed to democracy and therefore we want one nation, one election. Actually, the real problem in this country is Ayaram, Gayaram, defections, the manner in which all parties try and buy and sell. When will we talk about the real issues?
The solution to Ayaram, Gayaram is not one nation, one election.
Rahul, right.
The
This is very
solution
unfair.
to Ayaram is
The debate
a
is
person
well.
who
Please
resigns
register
from
my
the
protest.
Assembly of
This is the
Parliament
quality of the
should
debate.
be barred from contesting
Can I come
elections
in?
for 10 years.
I need to-
And that'll be the end.
So those are the real issues.
Because
Amitabh Tiwari,
get
1
time.
minute, sir. Gaurav
Okay.
Bhatia, 1 minute. Amitabh Tiwari, is that the real issue? The real issue in this country is that we don't have a right to recall. Sunny Deol attended Parliament just a couple of, just a minute,
one
sir.
nation, one election.
Just a minute.
That are the different
Sir.
topics. Let's
No,
debate
1
the
minute.
topic. Why
The
are
real-
we digressing
sir.
from
The
the topic?
Sir, you cannot.
We are digressing from the
Hitesh,
topic, Raj.
Hitesh, please.
This is the way he wants.
Sunny Deol attended
Rajdeep,
Parliament a couple of
don't
times for
take
5
more
years.
time than the
I don't
Parliament.
have a right to recall. A government is chosen.
Aligned with the BJP. Don't do this, please.
No, all
You are
sides.
talking about what kind of
To ask
electoral
me a question,
reforms
did
we are
you even
having.
come back to us to seek a response? Or I ask you now. leave it.
Amitabh has got
No, no,
only
I know.
30 seconds so far.
Okay.
You have had 6 minutes.
Yes, I
Have
represent
give him
the
equal
Bharatiya
time.
Janata Party. You are raising questions at Narendra Modi ji and the government. I need to respond. Now listen
I
to
will
me.
let you. Let him
I
finish.
ask you a question.
I will let you. First, he must start. No,
How
sir.
dare you say that democracy will not be taken forward by this? I ask you a question. Please answer. Right now, a voter gets how many opportunities to vote in the assembly or the Lok Sabha? Tell me. Answer. 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 You don't have an answer. Second.
1 minute, sir.
Can I please come in?
Rajeev, how many times would the voter get an opportunity to vote in the assembly and the Lok Sabha after one nation, one poll? Same. Why do you say that democracy will not be...
Can I please come in for a
Second.
minute?
Second,
No, he
please.
must let him. He's on a roll.
Second.
I thought June
No,
4th
he is
had made people
everybody-
more humble. Clearly, it does not.
Yeah.
You have become even ruder and more obnoxious. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Who has become ruder and obnoxious?
I'm trying to ask you a question.
No, just a sec. Is this a personal comment on me?
It is a comment on someone
Okay.
who raises his
I will
voice
not be able
and
to
doesn't allow
participate.
anyone
Listen,
to speak.
Listen, Mr. Rajeev, sir,
He's
decide.
also an Indian
You have
citizen.
sold your journalism. I don't want to come to that, please. And you are the rudest and the meanest anchor who tries to target the BJP. And you think I will take your nonsense? I will not. Abstain from making any personal comments. Okay, tell me, which are the articles that have to be amended in the Constitution? Tell me.
Can I
Rajeev
come
has
in
to
for
tell
a
me.
minute, please?
No, please, just
No,
wait.
no, I want to make
Tell
a
me,
point.
which
Please
are the
don't
articles
try and
to
do
be
this to
amended?
me.
He won't be able to tell you the articles of the
Amitabh
Constitution.
Tiwari,
Sorry.
since
That
Mr.
is why-
Mr.
And
Gaurav
now
Bhatia,
You are sitting with...
Mr. Gaurav Bhatia,
Never ever make
your
a personal
ability,
comment on
you
my
have,
party.
you are coming
Never ever.
in this panel of 6, you've
Yes.
spoken the most and shouted
No,
the most. This
you-
audience can
you are
decide
the
that.
one who's
I'm not
biased
going to
the
get
most.
into it.
You are
I'm sorry.
biased to the
This
Bharatiya
audience
Janata
has
Party.
come here.
And I exercise my right. I ask you the article of the Constitution.
I am not
which
here-
needs to be amended. You
I am
don't even know. And you are anchoring the show.
गौरव जी
You
गौरव जी
can't... I'm just...
मैं आपसे सिर्फ एक
please.
बात बोलना चाह रही
मैं
हूँ
आपसे
गौरव जी,
पूछना चाहता हूँ, आपको आर्टिकल
मैं
पता
आपसे
है?
एक बात पूछना
आपको
चाहती
आर्टिकल
हूँ
पता है?
मेरे
अगर
से
पता है तो
चिल्लाइए
बता
मत।
दीजिए।
लोग देखें यहाँ पे बैठे गौरव जी मैं आपसे एक बात
राजीव जी,
पूछना
मैं
चाह रही
आपसे
हूँ
आखिरी बार कह रहा हूँ।
गौरव जी
If you ever make a personal comment on Narendra Modi ji or a BJP spokesperson, I will not take it.
What
Do
is,
you
the,
understand?
what is the personal comment
You
we
said
made?
mean. You said mean and shouting. Why?
Because
I'm
you are.
can I make a statement for the benefit of this audience and for the benefit of the debate if we are done with this
Sir, I will not
We
be...
are
No, listen.
sitting in-
No, one
Rahul,
second.
Rahul,
Rajdeep, just one second.
India today
Can I call?
I want to know the stand of
Okay, one
India
second.
today.
I want to. We're running out of
Rahul,
time.
we are in Maharashtra.
We are
I just
running-
want to ask you one
Dare
thing.
you say
There
that
is a
again?
Maharashtra
Dare you say
audience
that?
here.
I warn you here.
Yeah,
I
Maharashtra.
warn you.
What are you doing?
Never ever make a personal comment
Please
about
show
my
me
leader.
the personal comment.
I
Please
will
show
tell
me.
you. I
What
will
was
tell.
the- what
How
was the
dare you
personal
say
comment?
that this nation will become a nation of one leader, Modi ji? How?
That's a
Tell
question.
me.
Am I not
How?
allowed to ask you a
How
question?
dare- How dare you?
Am I not? How
Has
dare?
he not
Are you
won three
threatening me,
elections?
sir?
Has he not won three elections?
Okay,
Are you
Rajdeep,
Has he not
No, one
won three
second.
elections?
Are you
listen,
threatening me?
Listen, Gaurav bhai.
Are you
Okay,
threatening me?
Rajdeep.
I am telling you, and I will enforce.
I let
all
this
these
audience
remedies.
decide the quality of people that we
Okay,
have in
Please,
public life.
So, okay,
if the
one
quality
second.
is bad, listen, Rahul, no.
Okay,
Listen,
you
wait.
made your point.
Wait, no, I'm not.
No,
If
one
the-
second.
If the
Because we're, no, one second.
Rahul, please.
One second. Faders down. I must call this
No.
debate. No, this is not right.
Can
You're speaking.
Do you stand for that? what
I
he
don't
said?
stand for any of what anyone is doing.
Does
You
the
made your
Indian
point.
group say-
Gaurav bhai, you made your point.
Not that.
No, one second. I've got just a few minutes left before we wrap up. What I wish to do
You cannot
as we
shout
wrap up-
at
No,
me
one
like
second,
this now.
Rajdeep, just drop this.
I'm
One second.
very patient.
Let's drop this.
You are not patient, you are
Gaurav bhai,
biased.
Gaurav bhai, you
And
made
that
a
is
point.
why I'm giving it back to you.
Gaurav, you made a
He
point.
doesn't.
You
What?
made a point. Now, you
How
can't.
could he say Narendra Modi ji,
I'm
one
not
nation,
agreeing.
one leader?
Hey, one
I
second,
asked
you
you a
made a
question.
point.
An India
One
Today
second.
platform.
I asked you a question.
Rahul,
One
How
second.
dare you?
Okay,
Can I
Gaurav,
make a
Gaurav,
point?
you made a
Narendra
point. You
Modi
made a
ji
point.
has
Or is
won
it supposed
three
to be a
elections.
rap? I want to make just one point.
No, one second.
Yeah,
Can-
Maharashtra
give me
can
1
always
minute.
say-
Give me
Has
1
won
minute.
Three elections. And
You-
your anchor dares
Okay,
to
1
say
second, you
in
made that
India
point. Gaurav
that
bhai.
he is one nation, one leader.
Made a point, we've heard you. One
So
second.
why did he say that?
What is this threatening?
Arey,
What
he's
is
made a
happening?
point, you've responded. Calm down.
So why
He
is this
said
a platform
something.
for Modi bashing?
You've responded. One
Is this
second.
a platform for
There is no
Modi
Modi
bashing?
bashing happening. What are you saying? Okay.
Never ever
One
do that
second.
again.
1 second. Time out.
You know
Time out.
nothing about
Okay.
the
1 second.
constitution and you
Gaurav
want
bhai.
to deliberate
Gaurav
it.
bhai. 1 second. 1 second. Rajdeep.
You invited us.
Yes.
How dare he say
You-
that you were,
he
how
said
dare
I asked
something,
you a
made a
question.
How
point.
dare he say?
I asked
How
you a
dare I
question,
ask
sir.
Why are you
On this
asking me?
platform.
He's made a
I
point.
know.
I asked you a
Why
question.
is he
What we're
sitting
going to
here?
do is,
This is
I'm
not
going
going
to
to
just
serve
come
any
in.
purpose.
What
Okay,
we're
one
going to do
second.
is,
One second.
we're all going to
Don't
break
threaten me,
for...
sir. Do not threaten.
Never ever do that
Okay,
again to my
1
party.
second.
Threaten again.
We
Never
are all
ever do
just
that
one
again.
second.
Do not threaten, sir.
for lunch.
Here's what we're going to
I will
do.
give it back
Gaurav
to
bhai, okay, 1 second. Here's
Fair
here-
and square.
here-
I
here-
tell you.
here-
No.
here's
I
what
object.
you've made. How often will you object? You've objected. We've registered your objection. Now give everybody a chance. You're trying to monopolize the debate, which is not fair.
I'm sorry.
He's
I think I was
he's
making
made a
a
point. You've objected. We've heard
Yeah,
you.
this is
Now
not
calm
an
down.
anti-BJP platform.
There is no anti-BJP platform.
please.
You made a point. We've heard you. Now thande ho jao. Okay, 1 second. We're running
Can
out
you
of
do that
time.
again?
It's time also for lunch. I want, in the interest of fairness, to give everybody 30 seconds each to make concluding comments. Let's again try and raise the level of the debate. I'll start
these
with Supriya.
anchors?
You Gaurav bhai,
these anchors?
you can't keep making the same point again and again. You made that
Can't
point.
be making personal
You
comments.
cannot make the same point again and again. Supriya
I will.
Shrinate,
I
final
will,
points.
Rahul.
Final words. Will you let others speak, please? Supriya Shrinate, final words.
We are sitting in Mumbai. महाराष्ट्र का जो चुनाव हरियाणा और जम्मू कश्मीर के साथ करा नहीं पाए, बात कर रहे हैं वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन की. असलियत तो ये है. And I want to tell this audience, I am sorry for what happened here. I am sorry on the behalf of political parties and politicians at large. We wasted your time. I am sorry about that. You should apologize too.
Okay, 1 second. Gaurav, you've spoken enough. Hitesh,
No,
I'll
sorry.
come to you last. I'll
So-
come.
no, no,
you
I
cannot
need to
decide
speak.
when you will speak. I'm sorry.
No, Rahul,
Hitesh
this
Jain,
is-
I give you 30 seconds to make your final points. Yes, please.
Rahul, time for one nation, one election has come. I don't think this is an adversarial debate, but this is a topic on which we should rise and keep the national interest above the political interest.
Amitabh Tiwari, 30 seconds.
See, it is a disruptive idea and it needs much wider consultations because in the committee report itself, the cost benefit is not mentioned. How much money ECI is going to save by conducting simultaneous elections is not mentioned. The benefits are largely intangible, which is very, very difficult to quantify. So we need much wider consultations.
Which is the idea,
And-
which is
and
why
Rahul,
we did this.
and Rahul,
You've spoken now.
just-
Supriya
no,
ji.
this is for
This
your
is all.
benefit.
In the-
Now you will allow.
Give
I am-
everyone
Now
a
you will
I'm not
allow.
allowing it.
Supriya,
I'm
you
not
can't.
allowing it.
No,
Jagdeep ji.
Jagdeep,
One
Chhokar.
second. Jagdeep ji, 30 seconds to make your final comments.
I am sorry I came to participate in the conclave because I did not come for this that has happened here, and I have nothing more to say. If this is the way politics in the country is going to be run, we can have one nation, one election, 2,000 nations, 5,000 elections. It is not going to make any difference.
Gaurav Bhatia,
can I
30
just
seconds.
give my 30 seconds?
Okay, fine. Aap bhi.
My 30 seconds is this. We have a show, Elections on My Plate. You do Jab We Met. We go to different parts of this wonderful country. I've come back from Haryana. I was earlier in Jammu and Kashmir. I only hope one nation, one election doesn't prevent us from doing that. We want to celebrate each and every corner of the greatest country in
And
the
your
world.
money minting conclave.
Just a minute.
One
Ma'am,
second.
allow me to finish.
Let
The only way you can celebrate this country, allow every Indian to
By
express
calling
himself,
names to the Prime
is
Minister,
have-
you will celebrate.
Just a minute, sir. I will replay that. I want the audience. I asked a question. Is this about one nation, one election, or one nation, one election, one leader? That's the question I asked. If you feel that's an attack on the Prime Minister, I am more than willing to apologize for it. Mera dil bahut bada hai. You don't know how big my chest is, but I won't refer to my chest. I only will refer to the
Now,
fact.
this is all
Okay,
that I
Rajdeep,
remain-
now you're
I
doing more than
remain-
30 seconds.
That's the whole problem.
Gaurav Bhatia, 30 seconds. Khatam karo.
India is proud of Narendra Modi ji. He is a leader who has won 3 elections in a row. Remember that. Two, I want to make it very clear that one nation, one poll is a necessity. It's not an article of luxury. Read the constitution. I will tell you, read Article 83, read Article 368, and you will come to know why it's important. And you, as a citizen, have one vote. Gaurav Bhatia, as a citizen, has one vote. By being in minority, you have no right to dictate terms what the country will do. And I will end by a couplet. इन्हें गुमा है कि मेरी उड़ान कम है, इन्हें गुमा है कि मेरी उड़ान कम है, मुझे यकीन है पूरा आसमान कम है. ये है भारतीय जनता पार्टी and the citizenry of the country. Thank you.
There are 2 couplets. One is, गुलिस्ता को लहू की जरूरत पड़ी, सबसे पहले थी गर्दन हमारी कटी. अब ये कहते हैं मुझको ये अहले चमन, ये चमन है हमारा तुम्हारा नहीं.
मैं कुछ कह दूं? मैं भी कहता हूं.
इसका जवाब है, जालिमों अपनी किस्मत पे नाजा न हो, दौर बदलेगा ये वक्त की बात है. वो यकीनन सुनेगा दुआएं मेरी, क्या तुम्हारा खुदा है हमारा नहीं.
Gaurav Bhatia
So,
wants to
yes.
respond with a couplet. Only couplets allowed, nothing else.
Only couplets. पहला साहब ने कहा
इरशाद.
दौर बदलेगा, तो मैं ये जरूर कहूंगा भारत की जनता की शान में हम वो दरिया हैं जिसे अपना हुनर मालूम है, हम जिस तरफ चल देंगे रास्ते बन जाएंगे. एंड सेकंड, for the people who oppose, who say Sikhs can't wear turban, constitution has been destroyed, आप गैरों की बात करते हैं, आप गैरों की बात करते हैं, हमने अपने भी आजमाए हैं. लोग कांटों से बच के चलते हैं, हमने फूलों से जख्म खाए हैं. एंड यू ऑल नो हु आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट. डिस्ट्रॉइंग द इंडियन इमेज ऑन फॉरेन सॉइल. थैंक यू.
I will also take my 5 seconds. सरकारें आएगी, सरकारें जाएगी, पार्टी आएगी, पार्टी बदलेंगी, देश का लोकतंत्र बचना चाहिए.
क्या बात है? There were political fireworks that were happening.
इस रिपोर्ट के बारे में मुझे कुछ कहना है.
हाँ, इरशाद. वाह, बेटी इरशाद.
She
जोर
was-
से बोलिए इरशाद.
No, she was...
तेरी फाइलों में
No, Rahul, while they were speaking, she was looking at her mobile to
No, I
find the
was
right
looking at the
couplet.
number of calls I was getting.
इरशाद.
तेरी फाइलों में गांव का मौसम गुलाबी है, मगर ये आंकड़े झूठे और ये दावे किताबी हैं. ये इस रिपोर्ट की असलियत.
आपको कह रही है झूठा, तो मुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा. वो कह रही है आंकड़े जो है झूठे हैं. और फिर से एक बात कहूंगा,
नहीं, इरशाद का कुछ शेर सुना सकते हो?
मुशायरा हो गया
एक और-
कॉन्क्लेव का जगह
ओके,
पे.
शेर. ओके, इरशाद.
शक न कर मेरी इन खुश्क आंखों पर यूं भी आंसू बहाए जाते हैं, क्योंकि हर चुनाव के बाद मोदी जी वापस आ जाते हैं. तो यही है.
मैं सिर्फ इतना आपसे कहना चाहूंगी, अगली बार डिबेट में जाइएगा तो एंकर से लड़ने के बजाय, हमसे लड़ने के बजाय कुछ तथ्यात्मक बातें करिएगा. 2 लोग आए और उसके बाद भी लड़ाई करनी पड़ी. बड़ा जुल्म है
लड़ाई
भाई
होती
इंडिया
नहीं
टुडे
है,
पर.
विचार
बड़ा जुल्म है इंडिया टुडे पर.
देखिए,
2 लोग आकर भी बात पूरी नहीं कर पा
ऐसा-
रहे.
ओके, लंच. इरशाद, द नेक्स्ट
Thank
इज
you.
लंच.